to say why the team has not restructured or extended Rodgers' contract, despite the team restructuring the contracts of 6 different players this offseason. Can a girl get a Super Bowl champ? I'm told that there he is, Jeffrey Saturday. And Jeff, people don't know you were once Aaron Rodgers' teammate. I need to make sure everyone at home knows that. Good to see you, sir. We will get to you in a hot second there. All right, guys, so we know the relationship between Rodgers and the Pack's been a bit unsteady at times. Max, do you think Aaron should still have beef with Green Bay?
No, he needs to get over it, and he needs to get over it for himself. It's not going to do any good. You know, look, the Packers didn't really do right by him but they did right by themselves, they felt, by drafting a quarterback in the first round when it looked like maybe they were one weapon away. But you know what? They got him a coach when the other coach wasn't working. They won 13 games together and a playoff game against Russell Wilson in Seattle before Aaron Rodgers even knew what he was doing in the system, right? Then last year, he had maybe the best year of his career in the regular season, was the MVP in a league where Tom Brady's still slinging it and Patrick Mahomes is setting the world on fire. Aaron Rodgers was MVP and deserved it. Won 13 games again, played in the NFC Championship game, and had a chance to win. He had daylight between himself and the end zone and chose, to throw it, not to run it. And then his coach, blundered. I thought that was a blunder by Aaron. Then a blunder by coach, giving the ball to Tom Brady, not going for it on 4th down. But the point is, he was in a position to win the Super Bowl this year. Mm-hmm. And now next year, he's going to be even more comfortable. They don't have to use a first-round pick on a quarterback. They're already pretty loaded. They're going to, you would think, get even better in the draft. There aren't that many better situations for Aaron Rodgers, even if you look around the NFL landscape. He's got to get over it because holding on to it is not going to do any good, and he's in a very good competitive situation. He's got to be focused, as I'm sure he is, on winning the Super Bowl this year.
Jeff Saturday, I love you being on the show. I love going at it with you, having the ball and all of that stuff, having a real good time. But I'm going to get real serious here because I'm not joking around. And I don't disagree. I want to give credit to Max because, Max, I'm not refuting anything you're saying on a football level. That's not where my argument is coming from. But I take this stuff with Aaron Rodgers very seriously because I remember years ago when he was told to just shut up and go play football. We run this organization, you play, and we do it. You don't treat somebody like that of his caliber. This is a guy who's got like a 126-63 record. He's won a Super Bowl champion. You asked him for years to carry this franchise on his back. Now, as of late, they've improved overall. You've got some weapons on the offensive side of the ball. You finally got a running game for the first time in years. Your defense has improved after stinking for so many times over the years. It got to a point with their defense, Jeff Saturday, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not talking about immediately, but in recent memory, where the only thing that was popular about their defense was Clay Matthews' hair. That's it. You can have him in a hair commercial. You can have him in a hair commercial. That was about it. There was nothing to brag about with their defense. Aaron Rodgers carried this franchise on his shoulders. You don't treat him that way.
That's right.
And there's something to be said. There's something to be said of, okay, we're talented, we're good. Yeah, we can make it here. But why did Tom Brady leave? It wasn't just the weapons or lack thereof. I told y'all that I came on this air and reported that day. If Bill Belichick had said to Tom Brady, I want you to stay, Tom Brady would not have left Foxborough. He left Foxborough because he was deemed expendable. We can live without you. We gonna do things our way. We ain't worried about what you want. The hell with the fact that you're Tom Brady. I understand that. The hell with the fact that you're Tom Brady. All I'm saying in closing, and I give this to Jeff because I want to hear what Jeff has to say, is there is something to be said for someone who is inspired and is happy to be working for you because they feel like they're working with you. The fact that the Green Bay Packers don't make Aaron Rodgers feel that way. Sure, they can compete, Max, but it doesn't mean mean that he can't find someplace else with equal talent that's far more appreciative of his greatness than they are. That's what I'm going. Jeff, to that you say what?
Yeah, I agree with you. Listen, when you talk about the beef that Aaron Rodgers would have with the Packers, Max, I agree with you. Like this team is a very good football team. They've been in the NFC Championship game 2 years in a row. They've done a good job with coaching and producing and all of those things. But there's a difference when you say the year before, when they draft a quarterback in the first round that you know will probably not play for 4 years, maybe 5, with the way that Aaron Rodgers is playing. And did that really make them a better football team? Well, if there was some kind of catastrophic injury, maybe. But when you look at Aaron Rodgers and the level of play he's at, I think the beef with the Packers is what's producing part of that, right? This guy is a motivated guy. If you don't believe that he had a chip on his shoulder when he was drafted where he was, you're mistaken. Aaron Rodgers takes things very personally, and that's what takes good to great. And I understand people can use all kinds of factors as motivation. I think he's continuing to use this to motivate himself. But he has carried that football team and the entire organization the last 10 years and has done a phenomenal job at it. But when you look at how do you get over the hump and win the Super Bowl, you got to give him more. And if they would have brought in another receiver last year instead of a first-round quarterback, are you telling me they don't have better production in the playoffs? The coaching staff stays about the same? I think they do. So when you talk about an organization trying to be built for the future, I understand it. The other thing I would say about this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, and this is the question I would have. It's interesting that they restructured 6 or 7, I can't remember what it is, other players to make space. They may have went to Aaron to ask him, but not wanted to do an extension with it. Now, I don't know that to be facts, but that's normally what happens, right? When I would restructure with the Colts, when they would come to all the vets and say, hey, make this signing bonus, it's going to help us on the cap, most guys do it. But if Aaron felt like he really had the leverage and he could make the Packers show him how much they think of him in the future, he could have possibly tied like an extension on to it, right? So I'm not sure exactly how it played out, but if the Packers wanted to show him, they could have. That's my only issue is you continually get out in front of the public and say, no, we're not gonna stay committed to him. And again, you just said it. He played at an MVP caliber and deservedly won it this past year. I don't see any slippage next year. So the Jordan Love thing, it's a minimum of 3 years before he gets in. And then he's got to get accustomed to playing, and you'll have to pay him. So as I look at this, I just don't understand the thoughts of the organization.
Well,
and the more you go
Jeff,
out in front of it and not give it, I think it creates issue.
It seems to me that you don't do that for Jordan Love unless you love him, right? Unless you think he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day, or else why do you make that move? Because quarterbacks are available every year. They're like, no, we're going to get, that's the guy we want to succeed him. Look, they did it with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. They found value with Aaron Rodgers. Well, Favre was still playing at like MVP level, and they moved on. So I think I'm not sure it's at least 3 years. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is great again, and they think Jordan Love is ready, and they're ready to move on, at that point. My point is simply, you're both obviously right about the way they treated Aaron Rodgers. There was a better way to go about it with this guy if you're the Packers.
Right.
That said, all those years that Stephen A. you're complaining about he had to carry the whole thing, they didn't do enough, but those years are now over. My point is the table is set. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you got to eat now. They spent all these years setting the table and hoping maybe you could win the championship with a little less than you ought to have had because you were so great. Finally, while you're still all world, you were the best quarterback of the regular season last year, clearly, in a very competitive year for that. Rodgers deserved it. The table is set now. You want to leave now? I mean, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, I'm eating right now. I'm eating this year and next year at least. That's my point. He's got to get over the other stuff. Or, Jeff, if he uses it motivation, fine. But the Packers are ready to win now, especially, I believe, after this coming draft.
Cool. Guys, I want to move on here. By the way, please stop talking about eating, Max. I'm starving. I skipped breakfast this morning. I was a disaster. Okay, so you played with some good quarterbacks. True story. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and you know what it's like to go up against this guy, Jeffrey. Tom Brady left the Patriots and went on to lead the Bucs to a Super Bowl title. Meanwhile, New England finished 7-9 last season with Brady's replacement, Cam Newton. Pats owner Robert Kraft asked